This is the Elevate Media Podcast, created for high achievers on a mission to continuously elevate their life and business. Now here's your host, Chris Anderson.
Welcome back to another recording of the Elevate Media Podcast. I'm Chris Anderson, your host. Today, we're diving into how Amazon sellers can protect their reputations without risking suspension, which is the big deal. If you're on that platform, we're going to be diving into reviews and bad reviews and fake reviews and just Amazon and hearing the story of an entrepreneur who's been very successful, had a lot of experience. He's the founder of TraceFuse. He's had over 20 years in digital marketing and advising Fortune 500 companies. He also used to work at UCLA in the influencer marketing and personal branding area there at the school. So super excited to have Shane Barker on the show. Shane, welcome to the Elevate Media Podcast today.
Hey, what's going on, Chris? Yeah, thanks for having me, man. This is awesome. I'm kind of pumped about this, man. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, super excited to talk. We were talking in the green room. Shane's out of Nevada, Reno. So the other city, he said, in Nevada that people have heard of outside of Las Vegas. And you just, you were saying you just opened an Airbnb. Is that right?
We did. Yeah, we did just open an Airbnb literally yesterday. So we have been, kind of getting it ready. And my wife is quite the perfectionist. So I have to admit, it does look pretty epic. I might be a little biased because we are the owners, but she did just an amazing job. So yeah, we're kind of excited about it. So, if anybody finds us on Airbnb, who knows, you might stay at my house.
Right.
Yeah. The upsides and downsides of that. Yeah.
It's really cool aesthetic there. The Reno Suite Retreat. I thought it was neat. And just, you're saying there's a lot to do with hiking around it and everything like
tons.
That.
Yeah. There's Truckee 45 minutes away. South Lake Tahoe's an hour away. Plus we live kind of not in the mountains, but it's like area, get a little bit of land with our land here. Sure. And we're kind of up on a mountain. So it's really, really nice and quiet and stuff like that. So yeah, people will be, I look at it like, man, if I ever get in trouble with my wife, that's the place I'll stay. That's right. Like, assuming nobody's in there,
Yeah. And it's cool with your background, obviously being able to market, and then with reviews, like I'm sure you're already got a plan for how, to navigate that situation. I know it's not Amazon, but the review aspect. And I find myself looking at reviews for hotels, Airbnbs, products on Amazon. It's such a crucial piece. And I think some kind of don't think about it so much. They're just like, oh, it is what it is. But why is it so important that we not just accept those bad reviews, especially if they're abusive or even fake? Like, why do we need to look at those on our platforms?
Yeah. Great question. So I think, well, there's two answers here. So the first answer, I always tell people, whether you're selling on Amazon, whether you have an Airbnb, whether you have a, restaurant, whatever it is, be proactive, not reactive, right? So that what I mean by that is, and you just kind of touched on it, my Airbnb right now, we do have a plan for it, right? To be able to get positive reviews and be able to, build a great foundation of great reviews. Because we have an Airbnb. So guess what? Not everybody's going to be happy, right? We do everything we can. We've got tea, we've got coffee, we've got this. We're going to give chocolates from Reno. Like we're doing the whole thing here. We're going all in on this thing, right? But that doesn't mean that somebody might not have a bad experience, might not see a spider or, whatever it is. Right. So what we look at is like, you can't make everybody happy. That's just at the end of the day, if you're going into the public eye, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like your place, doesn't like your product. That's okay, right? We don't need to take that personally. But I will tell you, it stings a lot less if you go and have a great foundation of good reviews. If you have 10, 15 good reviews and a bad review comes in, guess what? That doesn't crush your listing. That doesn't crush your Amazon products. That doesn't, what that does is says, hey, somebody has a little bit of a different opinion, which is not a bad thing. If I look at a product and I see nothing but 5-star reviews and there's thousands of reviews, I get a little suspect. You can't be perfect, right? Like there is, I've been in the space long enough. Somebody's going to come and ding you, whether that be a competitor, whether it be fraud, whether it be somebody just had a bad experience or crazy people out there leaving reviews. I mean, there's a full spectrum of what that might look like, right? So, but once again, be proactive. Don't be reactive. Go and get as many reviews as you can, obviously legitimately, and be able to have a little foundation. Somebody comes after you, you're going to feel a lot better about that. The second side of it, what was your other question? You asked about that, and then you were asking about the
if they're fake or abusive, like how do you deal with, like, obviously, yes, no one's perfect. You're always going to have like a ding to your reviews. And some people say this was great and still do a 4-star review. So you got to look at those too, but
that hurts.
That are abusive or fake. Yeah. Like, how do you manage those that are just completely blatant, not necessarily true that
Yeah, I mean, that's where building that foundation works, right? Where it's like, because if you're, what you don't want to be behind, right? If you all of a sudden you have a restaurant, you open up and somebody gives you a 1-star review and that's your only review,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that people can make an assessment from, right? And that hurts, right? And so,
Yeah.
and once again, that could be a competitor, it could be fraud, it could be all kinds of things. It doesn't matter though, because it's out there for the world to see. So once again, get more positive reviews. If you get a bad review, there's obviously a number of ways to deal with it. On the Amazon space, you can't respond. So that's, it used to be able to respond back in the day.
Okay.
So that makes it a little more difficult. But if you're, let's say, a restaurant and somebody comes in and says, oh, the carnitas were great and everybody had great food, but I went to the restroom and there wasn't 2-ply toilet paper, it was only 1-ply. Then your answer is going to be, hey, I'm really glad that you enjoyed the food and the environment and the drinks and you guys had a great time. Sorry that we didn't have 2-ply toilet paper. We just opened up, we're trying to save some money, but we will definitely take that in consideration. What we're really pointing to is that, hey, guess what? You actually had a great experience, right? You just didn't like the toilet paper, which is not really what we sell at the restaurant, right? That's not, we didn't say, come in for the 2-ply toilet paper. And then you got bamboozled and you're like, wait a second, this is 1-ply. What the hell is going on around here? Right. So that's what you got to think about is how do you answer that? Because really what I did is I just reiterated that they had a great time, right? And so somebody sees that and goes, oh, they gave him a 3-star review out of 5 because of the toilet paper, or a 1-star review. Oh, but guess what? They really liked the food, right? Maybe if I have to use the restroom, I don't want to use the restroom because I'm a 2-ply diva. I don't know, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, that's what we got to kind of think about is like, how are we going to answer somebody or somebody that just goes off the rails and goes nuts? What I look at there is you always have to have like what a plan is going to be, right? Like if somebody's going to come and write something, if they write something positive, you want to make sure you respond to it. Hey, thank you so much. I'm glad that you enjoyed this place and the food. You enjoyed my Airbnb. They write something crazy. Do some research. Look into the person. If they write bad reviews everywhere and they're just a very bitter person, then what you got to look at there is saying, okay, how do I take this offline? Because if I engage that person, that's what they're looking for, right? That's a person that maybe just isn't happy in life, right? And no matter what you say, hey, I would like to give you a free meal. Oh, screw you, screw your, you just got to be look at this and look at a history, because that'll tell you whether they're, not on their meds or whether they're crazy or whatever it is, right? Like, take a look at that, and then you want to figure out how do you address that. Now, if somebody's coming after you, what's important to do, and this is very difficult as an owner, is try to be even keel with your answer, right? Even though, because it could be an old employee that you fired and you could know that, right? But you going in and going crazy and saying cussing or being outlandish, they look at that and they go, oh, is that a restaurant I want to go to? The owner seems a little unhinged. Well, they might not know the whole story, right? They don't know everything that's going on. The world looks at that and says, ooh, if I have a bad experience, is he going to come to my table and say that? So you got to think about, what does the world see, right? Like, I'm not saying you have to agree with something if you're getting attacked, but there is a civil way of going about it, right? Like, you got to take the emotions out of it. And that's, for me, I'm a very emotional person. So I'm speaking from my own experience, that I will go write something and then I'll be like, hey, wifey, come here real quick. I went to Lynn, my wife, and say, hey, what do you think of this? And she goes, sounds super passive aggressive. And I'm like, perfect. And she goes, no, that's not perfect. And I go, oh, okay. Sorry. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And so then she'll come in and say, hey, that's, if I was looking at that, it feels like you're pointing a finger, or you're being rude, or you're being mean, but it's like a backhanded slap. We don't want that either. Yeah. Once again, as the owner, that doesn't mean you have to take just shots, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that somebody needs to come in and totally lie, but you just have to figure out how do you address that, right, without being aggressive, and figuring out how you feel like you can make it an even review, as long as they see this and they see you, and you're not engaging them to write more stuff. Because some people love that. They want to be, you see that on YouTube, you see that all over. People want somebody to say something so they can come in and say their piece. So I with anything that you do, I always recommend saying very, keep politics out of it if you can, keep religion out of it if you can. Try to be just a business, right? We're not trying to make this side mad and this side happy. In theory, it's better if you have just anybody and everybody come and stay, and then you deal with reviews as they come in. Just have a plan for that. If something happens, what are the next steps? You're going to write the review. You have somebody else that's outside of that. Come take a look at it, and then great, you can put that review up there. But the goal is always to take it offline. If you're, in the Amazon space, you can't write reviews or can't respond. But the important part is always try to take it offline, because then you can address it through email. But also, the thing to think about, this is the other thing, really, really important. When you're writing emails to somebody, assume that whatever you're writing, they're going to take a screenshot of that and put that up somewhere. So now I know
Yep.
that's very like fearful,
No,
but at
but
the
you're
end of the
right.
day, if you get somebody behind the scenes and you start cussing and telling them this and screw you, whatever you do,
Yep.
they go and they take that and they go and put that all over the internet. There's people that have superpowers of being able to spread things, make things go viral. Be very careful of that. Assume this is what I do, right? Everything that I write to somebody, I would say, okay, if my mom saw this email, would she be proud or would she be not proud, right? I do the mom check, right? So, right. And I love my mom, and my mom, uses some cuss words on occasion. So she's not a perfect human by any means, but what we look at is like, hey, if somebody was to see that, what would be their opinion? So offline and online, definitely get it offline, but do not assume that you can go free willy and say whatever you want to that person. Yeah. You want to assume that the whole world's going to see that. So how do you want, or you might have to use it in court, or you might have to, you just never know. So just be cautious.
No, 100%. I think that's a huge thing, because I've seen both sides of it, where people, I'll go and look at reviews and someone gives a bad review and I'm like, that's kind of an interesting bad review. And I'll go look at maybe it's like their Yelp profile or their Google, whatever. And it shows them their other reviews. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. They just hate life. They just hate the world and they're reviewing everything negatively. And so you kind of take that with a grain of salt. But then businesses who've replied to comments or reviews in a super aggressive manner, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I definitely probably don't want to do stuff with them because of that. So I think you've got to really navigate that situation and assume everything you say is going to be put out there eventually. And
that's exactly it.
How do you handle the negative ones? Maybe you do have a business and you are being attacked by a competitor or just spam. Are there ways to prevent or protect yourself against those just onslaughts? Not that it happens very often. Maybe it does, but
there is. What I would always recommend, as we talked about earlier, is getting as many positive reviews, right? Really get that up, because when a bad review comes in, it's not going to hurt you as much. Also, the other thing to think about is, and I don't know if a lot of people think about this, whatever your business is, right? So let's say it's whatever, Reno Airbnb. Let's say that's the name of your thing, which you can't use for copyright purposes, but you get my point. Let's just say that's the name of it. What I would do is I would go create as many social profiles and as many profiles as you can and start getting content up there. So what I mean by that is this. Okay. So if you're going in, you're going to go get, let's say you get LinkedIn, you get X, you get, Facebook, you get Instagram, you get Pinterest, you get all these things. What you're doing is you're building a profile. So let's say it's LinkedIn. So let's say it's LinkedIn.in/.whatever, Reno Suites. Let's say that's what it is. Well, what you want to do there is that actually the end of that, because I have a background in SEO. So the end of that is what everybody's going to, what the search engines are going to pick up. So if it's Instagram.com//Reno Suites, it's going to pick that up. What you want to do is get control of that first page, right? And what I mean by get control is get something that you control, content that you can control, right? Because if this is Trustpilot and all kinds of bad reviews are coming up, and it's Yelp and all these things, and you get tons of bad reviews, you could go out of business if you're an online business. If people are looking you up, that is very detrimental to your business. Now, I'm not saying, just push all those reviews down and don't pay attention to what people are writing. There is value, huge value in people complaining, even though it doesn't feel right and it sucks and it kind of hurts your feelings and all the stuff. But really, there could be something going on there. The analogy I always use is, if you can have the most amazing restaurant, great location, your Michelin star restaurant, everything's great. Well, guess what? Your hostess could be rude to 10, 20, 30 people and you not know it. And you start seeing these things online on reviews. Hey, Jennifer she was very mean to me. She yelled at me. Oh, Jennifer cussed at me. Wait a second. We need to have a conversation with Jennifer, right? Because those are, if you don't know as the owner or as the manager, there's information there, and we want to stop that and figure out how do we fix that, right? Either retrain Jennifer or realize maybe she's not the best person for that job. So there is value there, right? Just trying to get rid of all reviews that doesn't make sense, because it's just not going to happen. But if you have control on that first page of Google for your name, whatever your name is, those profiles, anybody says anything on Facebook, you can delete it, right? You can go and do these things, but look at the review sites. If people go there and they start attacking the review sites, if you have control over that first page for your name on Google, you should be good. Now, these are high authoritative sites. So what I mean by that is Yelp, Trustpilot, they have a lot of traffic that goes there. So if somebody writes a bad review, that can end up on that first page. So
Gotcha.
that's another thing you have to take a look at. I used to do online reputation management for celebrities.
Okay.
So that's the
Yep.
reason why I have a little bit of a history
Yeah.
of celebrities that, either, and the only celebrities I would work with were ones that clearly people were bad mouthing them, that they didn't do something, not people that did things
Bad
that,
right.
against kids or something. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have anything to do with any of that. But what we would do is say, hey, somebody said that this happened when it didn't happen. They would show me proof, and then I would help them be able to push that down. So I have a long history in the reputation management space, and we just jumped in for reviews on Amazon to kind of even the playing field for sellers.
Yeah, for sure. So, is there, because I know you have trace views and, wording of like TOS compliant. Well, for those who don't know, what is TOS compliant? What does that have to do with reviews and things like that?
Yeah, great question. So really what happens is with Amazon, the way that because we were the first company to start doing this. So we really kind of paved the way. This was about 5.5 years ago. It took me about 2 years and my team to figure out how to file reviews or cases for reviews the right way with Amazon. And I mean that not as like 1 hour on the weekend. I'm talking during the week, filing tons of cases and really trying to figure it out. The process is historically has been very nuanced, and most sellers were like, this isn't even possible. So we had a little bit of a big hurdle to get over, because we were telling people, hey, listen, this is white hat. There's nothing black hat. We're not doing anything illegal. We're filing cases. They go, yeah, but we file cases and nothing happens. What's different with what you do? Well, what's different is that we know, we can look at a review now and understand which department with Amazon to file with. We know the terminology to use in the case filing. We know how long to wait for Amazon to respond, which is a big one. Most people just keep asking Amazon for updates. You can get blacklisted for that, right?
Really?
If you just keep bombarding them. Yeah. So what we do is we'll file something with, like, let's say brand registry. We're going to wait at least 10 days. Right. And a lot of people don't do that because they want updates, because this is affecting their bottom line. This is how they feed their family. I get it. But once again, Amazon has a certain timeline, and, it can be, we can get reviews removed within a few days. It also could take 2 months, 3 months, and sometimes they don't get removed. So that's the reality of the situation. But really what it comes down to is, once again, just being proactive, taking a look at your listings, making sure you have control, and have control of that first page if you can, not on Amazon, but on Google. And then also now, obviously, the big thing is, ChatGPT and the LLMs and being mentioned there. And it's a whole nother conversation. It's a whole nother podcast, actually.
Yeah, for sure. So, and you mentioned right there, white hat, black hat. For those who don't know what that means, can you explain that?
Yeah. So a white hat means that it's above board, right? You're not doing anything crazy. There's actually kind of three. It's like white hat, above board, 100% gray. You ride the line a little bit, right? And then you have black hat tactics, where you'll do anything for $1. You build fake websites and do all kinds of things. So that we're fully white hat. Like we do everything by the book, because I'm dealing with other people's ways that they feed their family and pay their bills and all that stuff. And I take that very seriously. We've never had an account get suspended. And we have 700 brands we work with, and we moved over 16,000 reviews. So we have a long history in this. Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to tell you is that the terms of service, because I didn't really answer your question there. Yeah, terms of service for Amazon, what that really means is Amazon has its own set of rules, right? So when you write a review, and if you're going to write a review and you go and you cuss in the review, right? You mention a competitor, you mention pricing, hate speech, you mention the owner and any personal information, or even stuff that we call FBA. So FBM is if I ship my products out of my warehouse or my garage, that's by the merchant. And we have FBA, which is which means that it's shipped out. You have a pallet, you ship it to Amazon, you're paying a storage fee, and Amazon ships out. So when it's FBA, that means it's Amazon's responsibility. And what happens is Amazon, sometimes they're not perfect, right? I mean, they're sending out millions of things on a daily basis. Sometimes it's late. So if you were supposed to get it in 3 days and you got it in 1 week, and you're right, this is the worst product in the world because it took 7 days to get here. Well, you're mad about shipping, right? You're not mad about the product, but it's a product review. And so historically, Amazon would get those removed, and they miss some, right? I mean, they're a huge platform. So we go in and say, hey, you guys ship out. It took a week. The review is strictly about shipping. Can you guys remove this? So that's another one that we have some good success with. And then we have a fraudulent side of things as well, where we'll go and see a review if the same seller or the same buyer keeps buying our products and giving our clients 1-star reviews. Like, right, that doesn't make sense, Chris. Like, let me ask you a question, Chris. Let me go ahead and this is a hard one, man. I know that I know you're extremely intelligent, so we should be good. So when you buy a product and you give it a 1-star because you hate the product, Chris,
Yeah.
How many more do you buy? Just you as a personal,
None.
just as a consumer.
Yeah.
Zero, a hot zero, right? Like, so
Yeah.
that's my point. We go at this and go, okay, statistically, as consumers, we don't, if you hate something, you're not going to go buy 3 more just to make sure you truly hate
Right.
it. Right.
Exactly.
So that's what we look at, or velocity of reviews. If we were getting 1 negative review a day, and then all of a sudden we got 20, 3 days in a row, something suspect, unless you 10 times, 20 times your sales, right? Unless it was like Christmas or something. So those are all things, other things that our software detects, that then we go have our humans or people. I say that because we use AI, but we have humans or people that actually go and take a look at that and say, yeah, there's something funky going on here. Well, guess what? Then we would file an escalation case with Amazon. But most of the stuff that we file on is things that violate Amazon's guidelines.
Gotcha. Okay. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thanks for clearing that up. So with the other side of things, so removing negative reviews, how do we build out a good system to get more positive reviews? Because I know you said that's the biggest thing is, get those positive reviews up as quick as you can, get the most as you can. So what's a good cadence or a good system to be able to get as many as we can as fast as we can?
Yeah. So if you're in the Amazon space, there's a number of different ways you can do this. Some, in the back end of Amazon, when somebody buys a product, so you probably know this. So when let's say you buy 10 products, not every time do we get an email that says write a review, right? So the reason why that is because in the back end, you have to manually click for somebody to write a review. And that's not a problem if I'm brand new and I'm only selling 10, 20 items a month. But if you're selling 300 a day, that's a very manual process, right? So what happens is there's a way to automate that. There's softwares out there that are $20, $30, $40 a month. And if you're selling 500 units, what it does, it automatically, let's say after 3 days, it will click that button for you. So there's a number of different softwares that do that, and it's fully compliant with Amazon. It's just automating that process. So that's kind of cool. You can do that. There's also a company called Swapped QR. Andrew's the owner, used to be with Klaviyo, but what that does is it adds a QR code to your product. So it's like a sticker. And the idea of it is it doesn't tell you, hey, go write a 5-star review. It's more eloquent. It's like, hey, we really hope that you enjoyed our product. We can send you this for free, or you can go take a look at this. It doesn't say write a review. It just says, we hope you had a good experience, right? And then obviously it does kind of push them to write a review, but it doesn't say go write a review. So it's fully compliant with Amazon as well. We have a number of different companies that we've partnered with because that's kind of the yin to our yang, right? Like with what we do, we're like, hey, we can take care of your critical reviews, your 1, 2s, and 3 stars, and these guys can help you get more 4s and 5s. Well, guess what? That's going to make it so that you're going to transition higher sooner, right? I mean, the analogy I always use is like a diet, right? Like if you eat good and work out, you're going to lose weight faster and have a 6-pack. If you only work out and don't eat right, which is what I'm really, really good at, then guess what? Then you're not going to have the 6-pack. You're just not going to get it, right? So if you do both, which is obviously highly recommended, get more positive reviews, get your listing back up, take down the negative ones so you go up faster. That's really the goal.
And that's a good one. I'm curious, like how you see the review collection changing in the future, because, I've gotten emails, hey, leave us a review. I've gotten the QR codes in the package or on the package. The same thing. Hey, come get this. Very few times have I went and actually done that, which I feel bad because I'm a business owner. So I'm like, I should do that to help other businesses saying that. But so how can we, again, because I either open it and I'm trying to look at it, or the kids are starting to scream or need lunch or something, like things happen. And so how do we do that? What's going to be a better way to facilitate those reviews coming in the future with attention spans going down, with, everyone wanted it quick, things like that.
It's always a numbers game, right? At the end of the day. So if you're like on Amazon, you can't actually reach out to the customer, right? So that's the hard part. You can't, he historically used to be able to, or even respond. So a lot of sellers feel like, man, what do I need to do? Well, the problem with it is the core problem of it is that if somebody has a bad experience, they tell everybody, not everybody, but a good percentage of people, and you have a great experience and you barely tell anybody, right? So that's the hard part, is if you have a good experience, but once again, if you sell 100 products and on the back end, you only click the review thing 3 times, you might only get 1 review. But guess what? If you clicked it 100 times, you might get 10 positive reviews, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about getting everybody, because that's just not possible. As you said, life happens. You pull it up, you're about to write a review, kids start crying, you got to make some sandwiches, somebody needs to go to sleep, somebody pooped on the ground, whatever. We got things happen, right? I mean, this is our life. So you can't expect that. But the idea of it is, you definitely don't want to miss out on that opportunity to be able to touch those folks and be able to, in the Amazon space, outside of Amazon, obviously you can hit those people multiple times, right? If you have their email address. And then what we used to do is kind of like an abandoned cart, if obviously in the e-commerce space, where I would say, oh, hey, John Smith, looks like you were going to buy this product. It's still in your cart. Just wanted to see if you wanted to purchase it, right? Yeah. Or we would say, hey, we feel like maybe there was a problem with the something on our side. Hopefully let us know if there was something wrong. And they go, oh, no, there was nothing wrong with you. I just forgot my credit card. Hey, I'll buy it now, right? Or your next email could be, hey, we've sent you 4 emails. We're going to give you 10% off this, but you have to buy within 24 hours, right? Put a little sense of urgency on there. So that kind of stuff, when you have the email, you can set up sequences and be able to stay in front of people, so the numbers are going to be better. With the Amazon thing, you click that button, it goes out to them, and you pray to the Amazon gods that, and the review gods, that good things are going to happen, But once again, being a numbers game, you just got to make sure you don't miss out on that opportunity to be able to click that button and get them to write those reviews.
Yeah. And I think I always go, do the right thing, do it the right way, and don't cut corners, things like that. And, you'll end up getting those good reviews more than the bad ones. I think it comes down to that a lot, in my opinion. Just being a good person and trying to do your best and trying to put out the best product, and not trying to just, sell something crappy for a profit.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Well, and that's where, good customer service and having a good product. But once again, I think what's important, whether you have a restaurant or you sell on Amazon, not everybody is going to love your restaurant. Not everybody's going to love your product. So you have to really let that sink in. I talked to a lot of sellers. They just started off and very emotional about it. I'm a very emotional human being myself. So I get that. But I'm like, listen, if you're losing tons of sleep over one bad review, you're going to get more in the future. You just are. It's just how it goes. Once you get to a certain status, whether they're real or fake, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. I mean, the more you sell, you're going to get somebody that had a bad experience somehow that maybe had nothing to do with the product, but they're going to write it. It hurts when you don't have any reviews, because then you're just staring at this thing going, man, this is brutal. And you're wondering how many sales you're losing because of that. Yeah. But as I said, and this will be the last time I say it, I promise, get a good foundation of good reviews, right? Because then people can look at that and say, okay, that's not the only opinion that we can look at, right? Because not everybody does what you do. You dig a little deeper, because you're like, okay, I'm going to make sure this person isn't under medicated, right? Like, they're not just crazy. And you read a few more reviews and you're like, ooh, definitely under medicated, and maybe a little mad at the world too, which is okay. Well, I'm here to judge, but at the end of the day, you don't want to make an assessment off of somebody that just hates the world. That's probably not a great idea.
For sure. Yeah. And when those bad reviews come, some might say, hey, just ignore the bad reviews, just ignore it. That seems like bad advice from what you're saying. So if you were to just, ignore those bad reviews, what is that risk in the business?
Well, the thing is you don't want to ignore the bad reviews, because they're not going away, right? So that doesn't, ignoring them, the tactic of putting your head in the sand or just praying or whatever you do, that's not always a great tactic for things that are happening. I'm not saying praying is not a good way to go. What I'm saying is like just hoping that nothing happens because of something that's already happened. So what you have to do is you go in and take a look at that. You as the owner need to look in, as I said, make sure that people aren't crazy. If they're crazy, you don't really want to go and combat everything that they're saying, right? Really what you want to say is, hey, John Smith, hey, Jennifer Smith, I'm sorry that you guys had a bad experience at the restaurant. Do me a favor. I'm going to give you guys, I have your guys' email address. I'm going to send you an email directly. I'd like to know what was your encounter, what happened with your encounter. And once again, I want to understand, the food that you had, why you didn't like it. But I'd like to be able to have that conversation with you. Are you open to that so we can, make the restaurant a better place?
Yeah.
I mean, now you're making it human. You got the owner there. They're saying, hey, we want to make this right. So then if I read that, I go, okay, this person was a little crazy with the review, but I'm like, oh, look at the owner coming in and saying, hey, we'd like to make this right. Right. And then if they write something crazy, guess what? That just makes them look crazy. Right. And then you write something very nice. Hey, Jennifer, I'm not sure I reached out to you through email. You continuously are writing things here. Do me a huge favor. I'd love to be able to figure out how we can make you happy again. Will you respond to that email for me? right? Hope you have a great day. Have a blessed day. People are going to be like, ooh, this owner is like really just trying to make this right. And eventually people look at it and go, all right, she's just crazy. There's no fixing that.
Right.
I'm going to just ignore that review. The owner seems really nice. Let me look at the other 10 reviews. Once again, if you don't have any reviews, they're going to make an assessment off that. So, you know, you got to make sure. The other thing is as we talked about, it's pushing down, you know, those things and getting control of that first page. And you can even delete, you know, Google My Business. And there's all kinds of things you can do there as well that a lot of people don't even know about. If you have a lot of bad reviews there, that can happen as well.
Yeah. And I think, you know, a lot of times people just don't ask. They're scared to ask for the review. They're scared to put it out there, especially if they're early on, when they need to just overcome that and you know, just put it out there and get the reviews.
Yeah. Well, the way to do it is to say, hey, would you be willing to write us a review? Hey, if you had a bad experience with us, please reach out to me directly. Right. So what we're trying to do is get them not to go write anything bad. I did have a bad time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. What can I do can we jump on a call? Can you come into the restaurant? Can I buy you, you know, something? You don't want to bribe them, but you definitely want to say, hey, how do I make this right? Right. Here I am as the owner. I'm jumping up and I'm saying, hey, I want you to be happy. Is there anything I could do to make you happy? No, there's nothing I can do. Well, then I tried. Yeah. Not much you can do there.
Right. And what you said right there, I want to touch on that because I don't want business owners to get in any trouble for doing this. So if you had a bad review, you reach out and say, hey, we'd like to give you a free meal if it's a restaurant. We want to give you a free meal if you change your review. Is that legal to do or are you getting in trouble for doing it that way?
You could say that. I mean, with Amazon, you can't, right? Because but if it's your own restaurant, you could say that because
so free meal. And if you change your review,
I wouldn't put those together. Right. Because what that makes it sound like is I'll give you free food if you change the review. Right. That could feel you could feel a certain way. What I would say is, hey, is there, you know, I'd like to go ahead and you had the carnitas, they were undercooked. Would you be open to coming into the restaurant and I will comp your meal? Yeah. Great. Guess what? They're going to come in. They come in Tuesday at 6:00. You walk over as the owner or as the manager and say, hey, Jennifer, I wanted to see how everything was going. Or are you guys having a good experience? Oh my God, this is so much better than last time. Awesome. So we are a small business, right? And we obviously take our reviews very seriously. We brought you guys in here. Would you be open to revising that review for us? And she says, no, I'm not. There we go. They got free food. That's not contingent on that, right? Like, and make it not of like, hey, you need to go do this. Ask them if that's okay. Ask them first if they're having a good experience again. Because if they're not, don't go for the ask, right? At the end of the day. But they're going to understand that. What I would touch on, and as long as it's true, hey, we're a small business. We're a family-owned business. The reviews really affect our business. And obviously you can tell by the actions that I took that I take this very seriously. Would you do me a huge favor? And because this is how I feed my family as well. Would you be open to maybe revising that review? Don't even say about making it better. Say revising, right? Because you're not telling her to make it better. You're not leveraging her. You're not telling her, hey, you're going to, do this and do that. You're asking human to human. Right. And because this affects me, it affects my bottom line on how I do things. Would you be open to that? She says, I absolutely would be open to that. Great. Now, the problem is you can't guarantee they're going to change it. And it's kind of a little awkward to say, can you change it right now so I can review it? Right. Because it's not contingent on them. They get the food. They go and make some changes. Awesome. They don't write anything. You could write something on there. Hey, Jennifer, thanks so much. I know when I talked to you, you said we had a better experience. I'm so happy about that. Once again, have an awesome day. Yeah. So if she doesn't make it better, at least you can say, let everybody know that, hey, I did what I needed to do on my side. The review wasn't changed, but it's not a problem. I took care of the situation. I feel better about it. She's happy, and you should come in and eat at my restaurant.
Yeah, no, I like that. And because I know, like, if you're running ads on social media, you can't put certain wording or promises and things like that. And so I didn't know on reviews, if you're commenting back on a Google review, if there are anything that would cause you to get flagged or be negative towards your account in that kind of in the wording on how you put things.
So there could be, I believe, on a Google My Business for something like that. That's why you always want to take it offline and send emails. Okay. Because then what happens is, because they could say, hey, you can't offer them a free meal. I've never heard that. But once again, as long as you're not making it contingent on something, right? You're saying, hey, just want to have you guys have a better experience, right? That's what we're shooting for. And guess what? You treat them like gold. And next time you see them, you treat them like gold. And next time, well, I mean, you should do that with everybody, honestly. But, but you don't want to put it out there and start offering all kinds of stuff. Oh, we'll give you a free meal. Because then guess what? Somebody else is going to read that and say, I know how to get a free meal.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And they do that, which
Yeah.
is really sad. But so now
Yeah.
what it's happening is they know they can get a free meal because you just told this person, hey, you write something bad. Now you've started I'll call it an S storm, just to be extremely
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah.
of people going, oh, this is how I can get his attention, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. You want to address the situation, make it very even keel. Hey, let's talk offline, or hey, give me your email address, or I'm going to email you directly. Let's go ahead and take care of it there. And then just assume, once again, screenshots will be shared. They might not be, and you'll be safe, but just, be a good person, be a good human.
Yeah. I think that's a good point for sure to hit on. But yeah, I think, and that's something you can't control. It's like the emotions of someone. Like we said, when you're responding as a business owner, you have to be able to take a second and let your emotions kind of calm down. Whereas the person reviewing it, they might be so mad in the moment that they go and emotionally leave you a worse review than they would have if they would have let it calm down. And so it's hard. Sometimes you got to take it with a grain of salt. Like I had a really bad experience with a contractor for housework. It was just awful. It's unprofessional. Had to keep coming back for fixes. Finally fixed it all. Kept saying I owed more than I did because I had the receipts. And they're like, no, that's wrong. And then I'd get a bill again. And just crazy stuff. And they sent like an email like, hey, leave a review. Tell us how we did. And it had been a little bit, thankfully. And so I didn't leave a review at all. But I emailed them and told them like, hey, this is the issues like that we're having, like, and I wouldn't recommend you to anybody else. Because thankfully I had that time to like allow that emotion. Because if it was the day of, I probably would have been like, yeah, 1 star.
Yeah.
Don't ever use these people kind of thing. So you gotta get, sometimes everyone has emotions. And so you got to think about that when you're reading the reviews too.
Yeah. I mean, what you did to me is the right thing. I give them an opportunity private to make it right. I don't write a lot of bad reviews. I mean, because I know the power of them and they can be used, for negative, but that doesn't mean you're exempt either. Like if I send you an email and say, hey, this is like, clearly there was a situation here. Like somebody came and did work in my house and they, clearly those are boots and there's mud all over my floor and I had to redo this and redo that. Like, what are we going to do? Oh, there's nothing we can do. Well, it's like, well, there is something you can do. Can we get the car? If it turns into this hot no, then guess what? Then maybe I have to get your attention through other manners. I don't want to do that. That's not. Yeah. But if it's a blatant, like this isn't just two opinions that just disagree. It's like there was damage. I can show you damage. I can show you pictures before and after. This is going to cost me a few $1,000s. Like this isn't my fault. And they go, well, screw you. Then it's like, okay, well then I've got to take it to that next step. I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that.
Right.
But if I give you the opportunity, right, and it's once again, it's not opinion based. It's very clear. I have facts, I have pictures, and then there we go. And you either do it or you don't. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your business. So you got to make that decision. And I'm not saying every person you need to accommodate either. Right. I mean, that's the other thing too, is you don't want to get leveraged and feel like, man, I'm canning out more free meals than I am paid meals because I put this out there for the world to see. Be careful there as well.
Yep, 100%. And it just shows you like the importance of reviews, treating people right, responding correctly. Because at the end of the day, that's all we can do is do our very best, put the best product out, respond and connect with people in the best way we can. And nothing's perfect. And so be able to mitigate the best we can with that, get the best amount of positive reviews up front is going to set you up for better success in the future.
Absolutely.
And so that, this has been a great conversation. Really appreciate you kind of diving into that and kind of explaining the reviews and how they work and how we can set our businesses up for success with getting the good ones and avoiding and even getting rid of the bad ones. And so if people are looking to learn from you more or even get your help, where's the best place people can connect with you at?
Yeah. So really you guys can go over to my LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is just, if you put in Shane Barker, I put up like 80 posts a month. So I'm actually, and I have to say this, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm pretty proud of this. I'm actually number 2 in the world for Amazon FBA, for Amazon sellers, for information. So we
Awesome.
only work with on critical reviews or negative reviews, but we write about Amazon a ton. So they can go take a look at my LinkedIn. It's a very, very active LinkedIn. We're constantly talking about new ways to market on Amazon and things outside of what we do in the Amazon space for reviews. But I also have tons of different things that we offer there, and they can take a look at that there, or they can come over to tracefuse.ai and say hi. Once again, my email is just shane@tracefuse.ai, or you can go over to shanebarker.com, which is my personal blog. And guess what? If you put in shane@shanebarker.com, you'll find me there as well. So, I'm here for any questions. Anybody have any questions or anything they need, reach out at any time.
That's awesome. Yeah. So make sure you guys are in the Amazon space, dealing with reviews, want to learn from them, get connected for sure, and just continue to learn from Shane and what he's doing and putting out there. So, because it's important stuff to look at for any business: reviews, Google reviews, social media comments, all that stuff. So, again, Shane, thanks so much for your time and sharing everything on the Elevate Media podcast today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Chris. This was awesome.
Absolutely. And if you're listening to this and you're getting into Amazon selling, if you know someone who's selling on Amazon, share this episode with them. That way we can help more people together. And if you're not following the show yet, make sure you do that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching. That just keeps it going, because we're doing it for you all and trying to bring the best information, motivation out there so you can continue to elevate what you're doing. But until next time, continue to go out there, elevate your life, elevate your business, and we'll talk to you again soon.